Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow, we honor our veterans in the official manner, but those who serve and have served in the armed forces deserve to be honored every day for their bravery, their courage, and their dedication to this country. I'd like to take a moment right now to thank all of our veterans on behalf of NetSuite. NetSuite values the unique skill set veterans bring to the workforce, and we understand the challenges that come with entering the workforce after serving. In 2020, the jobless rate for all veterans rose to 6.5%. This is why we launched SuiteVets, an enablement program to help our veteran community find their feet in the corporate world and launch successful technology careers after their service. Today, I'll be joined by two of our own veterans, George Ploss, manager of the Solutions Consulting Academy, and Ranger King, one of our solution consultants. They'll discuss the SuiteVets program, what it offers and why it's beneficial. They'll also dive into the unique skill sets veterans bring to the workforce and conclude by revealing what Veterans Day means to them. As always, if you have questions for George or Ranger or about the SuiteVets program, please use the comment section and we will open it up to a live Q&A with George and Ranger at the end of today's conversation. And if you're a veteran or a member of our armed forces currently, make sure to drop a hello or tell us where you're tuning in from. We'd love to give you a shout out right back. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming George and Ranger. Hi, George. Hi, Ranger. How are you both doing?
Great.
Hi, Kendall. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. First, I just want to take a second to thank you for your service on behalf of everybody at NetSuite and all of our viewers tuning in right now. Thank you so much. Now,
Kendall, that means a lot.
Yeah, of course. And I'm excited to dive into this conversation today and get into some of the ways that you guys work with NetSuite and then some of the things that I mentioned in our introduction. But to kick things off here, I got to keep you on your toes. I want you to introduce yourselves, tell us about your roles here at NetSuite, and then just to break the ice a little bit, how about you give us a fun fact? George, we'll start with you.
Sure. I'm George Ploss, manager of the Solution Consulting Academy here in Austin, Texas. We've got multiple locations throughout the nation. I am from Chicago, spent 9 years in the Marine Corps, enlisted, I'm a working man. Went to University of Illinois, undergrad and grad school for business school. Let's see, fun facts. My first language was German.
Wow, that is a fun fact. Who knew? Ranger, on to you.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Ranger. I'm currently a solution consultant. So I went through the academy that George is a manager of. Before that, did 5 years in the Army. I was an armor officer. So I guess, George, you'd call me not a working man. Fun fact about myself, I'm sure there's probably a little bit of curiosity about the name. My parents are baseball fans. I'm a native Texan, so I am named after the baseball team. And if you follow baseball, you know that's not a huge compliment right now, but we had a few good years, so I felt to love those years at least.
There you go. Another fun fact. I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment that I was like, I wonder where his name came from, and now you've answered that. So German and named after a baseball team. There you go. There you go. So George, getting to the topic at hand here, can you tell us a little bit about the SuiteVets program and what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, ever since Oracle came about in 1979, worked for Project Oracle, which supported the CIA's relational database technology. We've always partnered with the military community and recognized them as a talent and labor market which would help our businesses succeed. So when NetSuite became a part of Oracle, the SuiteVets program, we call it SuiteVets affectionately because here at NetSuite, we like to put suite in just about every noun and verb you can think of.
Yes.
It was our programmatic approach towards hiring veterans and enabling them and training them across multiple lines of businesses to help support our business initiatives, both from a sales standpoint, pre-sales supporting standpoint, professional services and consulting, and then in other realms also. So it's an all-encompassing name that helps train people like Ranger to and insert them in specific areas of the business in which we give them all the tools they need to succeed. And
That's
Rangers
great.
crush it. Oh, and also I want to give a special shout out. It's the Marine Corps birthday, so happy birthday to all my fellow Marines out there. Rah.
Yes, we did chat about this. I'm glad
Yeah.
you got to shout that out. That's awesome. Ranger, can you tell us a little bit about who meets the criteria for this program?
Yeah, absolutely. So the base criteria for it is just being a veteran of any of the military branches with an honorable discharge, and then a college degree. And then the program does also accept military spouses as well.
Wow.
So that's the base criteria. That's the hard requirements. But what's going to serve you well in a role from SuiteVets and at NetSuite is a lot of the things that we're already good at as veterans: problem solving, staying adaptable, and then a big part of getting to be a part of SuiteVets is being able to translate your skills. So working at NetSuite and in tech is a competitive business to get into. SuiteVets gives you a leg up with that. But do still need to be able to kind of take those skills and experiences that you've had and translate them in an interview process.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get into how both of you got involved with NetSuite and with the program. But I know everybody's going to be asking this question. I already have people commenting. So George, really quick, for viewers who are tuning in, who meet the criteria that Ranger just explained, where can they go to apply and learn more about veteran initiatives at Oracle and NetSuite?
Yeah, sure. They can go, first and foremost, you can always go to oracle.com/careers and scroll down, and there's a veterans push out page. But then also we have veteran program managers that support our recruiters. So Albert Armillo is one of them. And then you can also go to our LinkedIn page, where we have embedded links in order to take you over to our veteran homepages as well. And then also you can go to oracle.netsuite.com/diversity. Scroll down and you can read a lot of testimonials, and which will give you an insight as to what the culture is like here. So
yeah. And we actually also left a link in the description of this live. So if you're tuning in, no matter where you're tuning in from, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or even on Twitter, you can click that link and you can find out more information as well. And we've also tagged Ranger and George on LinkedIn. So feel free to add them and connect with them and hear more from them. Really quick, a couple shout outs that are coming in from veteran Kurt German, Fort Hood, Texas. Ryan Sergeant Rocky Davenport, also from Fort Hood, Texas. So thank you all for joining in. Continue to shout out, continue to tell us where you're tuning in from. And we want to shout out right back to you. And again, don't hesitate to ask any questions, leave them in the comments, and we're going to open it up to a live Q&A with Ranger and George at the end of today's conversation. Okay. So I told you we were going to get into this. I want to hear how both of your journeys here at NetSuite so far. So Ranger, let's start. You kind of told us about the criteria that people should meet in order to get involved in this program. So when and how did you get involved? I want to hear, even like from the interview process, I want to hear all about that.
Yeah. So when I started transitioning out, I really had two main goals. I wanted to end up back in Texas, and wanted to end up in tech. So the first thing I started doing was reaching out to veterans in the Austin area, and found a few that worked here at NetSuite. Talked with them, figured out their kind of path forward, what they did. They blazed the trail for me, and then worked on getting a referral into NetSuite. So I actually ended up in the Solution Consultant Academy from a referral that I had with a fellow veteran here at NetSuite. Interview process, he helped me prep a lot, but what I noticed was that, everyone that I interviewed with was already comfortable interviewing with a veteran. They had like a decent baseline understanding of our experiences, what we're capable of. And I kind of attribute that to the SuiteVets program. As an organization, there's a familiarity and comfort with hiring veterans, understanding the value that they bring. And it's really paved the way for people like me to come in here. Obviously, they do a fantastic job. And I think that kind of fires up a lot of the managers and recruiters to go out and seek veterans, because they've made a great name for themselves so far in the organization.
So are there concerns coming in and in interviewing with somebody who maybe has never really didn't serve or has never really worked with a veteran? Did you have that concern coming in? Because you mentioned the interview process you could tell that they were very comfortable interviewing you. What are like some of the concerns around that typically?
The big concern is lack of experience, I think. We come out of the Army or Marine Corps. A lot of us in combat arms, you know, I was used to shooting tanks and, you know, buying up bullets and food for soldiers. And it doesn't feel like we have translatable experience. And we work on that. I mean, that's part of everyone's individual transition process, is figuring out, you know, your own story, your own brand, translating your experience. But it really does help if the person on the other side of the interview has had some good experiences with veterans and they see that value. It just makes the connection a lot easier.
Yep, I second that.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. George, yeah, tell us about, you know, your process getting involved with NetSuite, and even the interview process from your point of view.
Sure. So I was infantry. The majority of my career, the last 2 years, I was in civil affairs. After I got off active duty, I hit the reserves, finished school, and I was working as an analyst for the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And a buddy of mine who was a Marine, who was a recon Marine, was going to a recruit military fair across the street at the Macy's building or Marshall Field's building, if you're from Chicago and right in the loop. He said, "Hey, you're really good talking with the suits. I'm a little scared." I was like, "Hey, you have nothing to be afraid of. You're a recon Marine. Everyone's afraid of you. Trust me." So I was walking with him. I saw an Oracle booth. A gentleman came up. Yeah. And he asked me about Oracle, and I told him it was a database company. He was like, "Yeah, we're also a cloud applications business." Became a solution consultant, and was in a cohort similar to Rangers, but just a few years prior. And then I ended up becoming a veterans recruiting and veterans affairs program manager. And so my job was to help educate our leadership so that when they interviewed people like Ranger, they knew the right questions to ask, and they knew how to assess the skills that he and all our other brothers and sisters in arms have when they're transitioning out. So, as the program grew, we then started to execute it differently and programmatically, and so that's how we called it SuiteVets. And because I worked on that project, I was working with someone named Meredith Hart, and she mentioned in a conversation that she was a manager short for the SCA Academy. And I sent her a message, "Hey, can we talk about that for a second?" I was an SC way back then. And so here we are. Now it's full circle. So now you've got NCOs training officers to go out there and be SCs. So,
wow, that's incredible. And I love that you gave us kind of like your how you have grown since those first days and how you've become have you got where you are today. What do you think it is about NetSuite? I mean, this is kind of a more general question, not just for those that are in our SuiteVets program, but in general, how do our executive team and our leadership really help you continue to expand and grow in your career here?
Ranger, I'll go ahead and let you start. Kick that one off.
For sure. I think for me, one of the biggest parts of NetSuite that's helped me grow and that's personally been pretty enjoyable is just the fact that I've never lacked for help, whether it was during the training portion of the program or going live afterward, meeting a new teammate. I've always been able to find the help I want. No one's run out of patience with me. It's just been and it's because everyone's working towards the same goal, right? Everyone on the team is working the same direction. And when you need help, everyone just sees an opportunity to make the team a little bit better. So I've personally enjoyed that. It's another concern I think a lot of us coming out of the military have, is that we're going to be behind the curve. We're going to struggle to catch up. And I haven't had that experience. I've been able to find help wherever I needed it.
That's great. That's great. What would you add to that, George?
I wouldn't add anything to it. It's the culture and the environment here is so it's that of like development and enabling, and making sure that people, not only that they have everything that they need to succeed, but that they know where to go to get it. And we have the saying in Solution Consulting Academy: if you can't find the answer within 30 minutes, ask us, ask for help. And that's something that's something that's comforting me. I would enable my junior Marines to do that all the time. When I was a training chief at 3rd Civil Affairs Group, and like this is no different. So
yeah, that's great. Kind of going back to the early days, what were your first days kind of like? You walked us through going through the interview process and it felt very comfortable. But then once you actually joined the NetSuite team and the SuiteVets program, what were those first days and months like? And then how did you end up in the role that you're in now?
Mhm. Yeah, so in the SCA program, and it's similar in the SuiteVets, you'll go through a training period where you learn how the sales cycle works, you learn what your role is going to be, how to talk to customers, everything like that. In the SCA program, that was about 7 months.
Okay.
But coming in as a veteran, it's kind of two-part because you're learning the job, but you're also learning how to be a civilian at the same time. So for me, that meant, keeping an eye on what's everyone wearing in the office,
Yeah.
because we get told what to wear, we get told what time to show up.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of kind of soaking up how to act in a civilian world and a business world. But it was fun. I mean, I had a good time. The wonderful thing about working in NetSuite is that you're constantly in contact with customers in all kinds of industries, doing all kinds of things. So you're not just learning your own role, but you're actually getting a pretty good exposure to business in general, which is, I know, something a lot of veterans are interested. A lot of veterans go to an MBA program. George went to an MBA program.
Wow.
And this can't replace that, but it does give you a lot of exposure and knowledge to the business world in general.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you, George, anything? I mean, you obviously went through and got your MBA, but anything you'd add to that in terms of like progressing and learning here?
Yeah. So the Solution Consulting Academy, at a high level, basically what we do is we take people that have industry experience, all types of industry experience, whether you're in combat arms, armor, infantry, and we take everyone and we teach them a new job. It's a career pivot. And so that, from a level setting standpoint, I think that's one of the reasons why veterans and the Ranger also felt comfortable in it, because even though when you're transitioning out of the military, you do feel behind. But then when you put yourself next to someone who is in the same shoes as you, there's a lot of cross learning that's happening.
Of course.
And then the nurturing and enabling culture of the Solution Consulting Academy. It's a 3-phase program where we hold you accountable, but push you to grow as you're developing. And so it's like a mini business school, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we've had a couple of people on in the past to talk about life at NetSuite and working at NetSuite, and it's the same. We hear that a lot. It's like getting your MBA without getting your MBA, but you learn a lot, and that's just strictly based on the vast area of customers and industries and sizes that we work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
and if I could add, I remember I was going to go and get my MBA full time, but I got offered the job as a solution consultant at Oracle, and I asked the dean of the Illinois Business School, like, hey, what should I do? Should I come to school full time, or should I take the role? And I remember he said to me, that's the type of job that we try to get you when you graduate. So
that's great.
You should definitely take the role.
Yeah, that's all. I just got the chills. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Then I went and got my executive MBA. So
good for you. That's awesome. Love hearing that. Quickly, we have some shout outs coming in. Again, for anybody who is tuning in right now, please do not hesitate to shout out to George Ranger or any of our veterans in the comments. And then if you're a veteran, tell us where you're tuning in from, because we would love to give you a shout out right back. Now, really quickly from Dave, thank you to all of our service members. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. From Matthew, thank you to all of our service members and happy birthday to the Marines. So thank you for those shout outs. Again, keep shouting out, keep commenting. I know we have some questions that have already started rolling through. We are going to get to those questions at the end of today's conversation. So keep asking. And I'm going to keep asking my questions for now. Really quick, George, what would you say has been your most enjoyable part of working at NetSuite so far?
I mean, the people, honestly, meeting people like Ranger, meeting, like our, just everyone in NetSuite. It's, Oracle is massive, and NetSuite is a smaller business unit inside Oracle. So you have the resources of one of the world's largest tech companies, which a third of the internet runs through its data centers. But then you have this tight-knit community that likes to play kickball, go to happy hour, and just be there for one another.
So true.
Yeah. So absolutely people.
Wonderful. Ranger, what about you? What's your favorite part about working at NetSuite?
Yeah, I mean, very similar. For me, I mean, the people, of course, and then the culture. No one makes me sleep outside, which is nice. No one sent me to the middle of the desert for a month. So those are definitely pluses in my book.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is something very important to me. One of the reasons I transitioned out is work-life balance. I mean, it's being in the military is very hard. You're gone a lot. You're in the field a lot. You're working long days. And it was kind of nice to transition to a job with a little bit more strict hours, just a culture that kind of accepts that you are who you are outside of business time. You've got your own time, and it's very well respected. So that's been nice for me.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I know that is one thing that my boss has always said to me. Shout out to Fritz Nelson is, you are we love you for who you are, not just where you are, at work, but what you bring to the table from outside of work and all the experiences that you have that aren't related to NetSuite. So I love that point. That is a great point. What would you tell other veterans about the SuiteVets program or just working with NetSuite in general? Ranger, I'll start with you.
I mean, the number one thing I would say is what a great opportunity it is. I mean, you're getting to pivot into a really great industry in tech. The program pays you while they train you, not the other way around. I mean, a lot of times vets looking to get into tech want to take programming classes, coding classes, but they're going to train you up and pay you while they do it. And it's a transition that not that long ago really wasn't possible. I mean, going from military into tech was not an easy transition, maybe 10 years ago. But with something like this, it's a really great segue into a great industry. So yeah, I would just emphasize what a great opportunity it is.
And pay you well at that. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, George, anything to add?
Yeah, in addition to it being a great program, I would, if you're transitioning out now, definitely take advantage of the resources that whatever bases and transitioning assistance programs that are out there for you. Whether it's USO Pathfinder, whether it's the Institute for Veterans and Military Affairs, whether it's Vets in Tech, but then also start thinking about how you're going to communicate your skills. If you're a company, we all know that a basic company is broken up into sections. S1 is administration, and so administration, that's payroll. You're onboarding people, you're offboarding people. You're managing the unit diary, and basically you're managing people's careers. And so S2 is intelligence. If you're an intel professional, then there's no difference. There's no different from being a marketing professional. The intelligence cycle is just like the top of the funnel in the marketing loop. If you're in operations, that's in training and enablement. If you're in supply, that's warehouse and inventory management. So start getting familiar with all those things and how they translate over. And if you're in the infantry, then you're a jack of all trades. Or in combat arms, especially. You're a crisis manager. There's so many things that you can do and that you already do that you have a command of, that you now need to go out and translate specifically to people like me and to people like Ranger and to the broader industry and to us, so that we can make sure that you have a command of communicating things that you aren't necessarily that familiar with at first. So, because communication, part of this role is the bread and butter of what we do.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you just made those connected all those dots for everybody who's tuning in. Thank you, George. And I guess this kind of segues nicely off of what you just talked about, but what are the unique skill sets veterans bring to the workforce? George, we'll start with you, then Ranger, I'd love to hear your take too.
Ooh, so I was talking with Ranger about this yesterday, and the Solution Consulting Academy is 7 months long, and it's tough, but for veterans, it's not necessarily the toughest thing that you've done in your entire life. And when you're able to put things into context, you're able to focus more and get the work done. And as veterans, we have done things that are incredibly difficult, and we reach back on them, as sources of strength when we're trying to push through something that is difficult in the future. And I think I could say that for my personal life, but also for my professional life. If I've got a long, tough email to write, I could say to myself, you know what, I helped another Marine deploy and get through college and like come back. And so I can, I could put these fingers on the keyboard and I can type it out and hit send. So
Yeah.
Contextualizing the type of work we've done and what we're doing moving forward, I think sets us apart from our civilian counterparts.
That's great. Ranger, what would you say?
Yeah, first of all, I'll echo that. I think stress management, working under pressure, huge benefits. If you're a manager or a leader out there and you notice that one of your veteran employees is starting to get stressed, then you may want to take a look at how much load you're putting on them, because I would say for the most part, we can handle a lot. And then there's a couple other parts to it. I mean, the biggest thing I would say are the soft skills, presentation, communication. I mean, that's something that we get really good at. It's hard to communicate when you're miles apart on a 30-year-old radio, trying to execute some complex maneuver for the first time. But we get good at it. We're really good at communicating intent quickly and efficiently. So I'd say that's a big one. But as George kind of alluded to, there's a lot of industry-specific skills that veterans may have as well, and sometimes it's just a matter of uncovering those. There's some translation issues, but a supply officer may have just as much experience in supply chain management, inventory warehouse management, as somebody who had the title inventory manager, in a large products company. So I think you can count on the soft skills, but I think it's kind of both parties' duty to dig in and see if there's some of those direct experience skills as well.
And there's one thing I'd like to add to that. The biggest difference between being a member of the armed forces and being working in the private sector is that when you're part of the military, you're part of a mission-driven organization. When you're in the private sector, you're part of a profit-driven organization. And that organization has a mandate to grow, be profitable, and give a sizable return to its investors and shareholders and stakeholders. And so knowing that and internalizing that, knowing the difference between that and being in the military, I think is crucial when it comes to developing your career. And I think there's a delay.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Am I back yet?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep, we got you, Kendall.
Shoot, I'm having some technical difficulties. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I want to wrap up with one question, and we do have some comments coming in from the audience right now. So, final question is, obviously tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I'd love to know, what does Veterans Day mean to you, and how do you honor it? George, we'll start with you.
Yeah, the two big holidays are Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And so Memorial Day is a time for reflection for veterans who've given the ultimate sacrifice. And so Veterans Day for me, honestly, is a time to celebrate the living veteran and honor the living veteran. So I call my buddies up who I served with, and I call the people who I currently work with that have served. And I check on them. We spend time together, and we talk about our time in service. The history of Veterans Day, 11/11, was Armistice Day. So it was from World War I, and so it's a day of peace. And we've all fought so hard so that we can enjoy that peace. So it's nice to just sit back, crack open a beer, and talk about what we've done, and then also talk about how glad we're not sleeping in the desert anymore. Hey, we've got air conditioning and we've got flushing toilets and running water. It's awesome. So
absolutely, that's great. I love that. Ranger, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, similar for me. It's a great day to check up on the friends and peers I have that are still in. Thank people that did serve. It's kind of evolved for me a little bit. After getting out, I think I probably have even more respect and appreciation now. I did 4 years at a military academy and 5 years active, and I was pretty tired. By the end of that, I was kind of at a point where I wanted to step back and get into the civilian world. And just thinking now about the friends I have that stayed in and the folks that do 20 plus years, it's actually incredible. So I think I probably have more appreciation now than while I was in. So yeah, and it's nice. Oracle kind of puts puts their money where their mouth is when it comes to
Yeah.
veterans, because we get Veterans Day off. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of a nice chance we can reconnect with any friends in the area and really just show appreciation.
Yeah, that's great. I know right before we hopped on here, we were chatting about all the things you both have planned for the next couple of days. So that'll be nice. Good reflection time, as George said. We love hearing that. And I want to now open it up to, there are so many comments coming in from the audience. I wonder if this was my technical difficulties. We're just being flooded with comments coming in here. So let me get to these comments. And then again, if you are tuning in and have any questions, we're going to open it up to questions right now too. You still have time, ask your questions and we'll get right to them. From Lucas, he says, SuiteVet alumni. Hi, Lucas. From Tom, sounds like a great program. Thanks for supporting our vets. From Renee, I am a sourcing recruiter for SCA. It's such an amazing program. From Marley, former program from functional consultant to solution consultant, SuiteVet alum. Lots of SuiteVet alums tuning in. Hello, all of our SuiteVet alums. We love hearing from you. Thank you for joining us. From Rihanna, this sounds like you really prepare veterans for success instead of throwing them into the wolves on day one. Thank you for taking the time to talk about this opportunity. Happy birthday, Marines, and happy Veterans Day. I think that's a great point. Anything you guys would add to that from there?
I would agree 100%.
Yeah, I would agree 1000% because the Marine Corps is
1001%. Sorry.
There's no competition here at all.
No, between Army and Marines now.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, from Matthew Walker, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Thank you so much for tuning in, Matthew. From Adam Brady, hi team, senior enablement lead for onboarding SuiteVets and college grads to become solution or functional consultants. Hi, Adam.
I met Adam at a recruit military fair in Austin, Texas. And Adam, I met him. We put him in the pipeline, and then and now he's doing really wonderful things. So shout out to Adam.
Oh, love it. Hi, Adam. Shout out to you. Okay, we do have a question coming in here. Kurt had asked a question. I think this was from Kurt later on. I'm scrolling through. Yes, Kurt had asked a couple questions. One being, what are the criteria for military spouses? Is it the same as veterans? George, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Short answer is yes. So, military spouses, one, like, we thank you for your service, right? Because we wouldn't be able to serve if we didn't have the stability and the support in which you provide. Yeah. But then also we look at military spouses with a very broad lens, and we understand like the type of skills in which you would bring to the program. And so military spouses are put in the same type of military candidacy pipelines as veterans.
Great. Now another question from Kurt. Sorry, where does the training take place? He says, is it remote for each role? Is that situational to the role, or is it on-site or remote work for the SuiteVets training? Yeah, right. Or probably SCA or both. Yeah. Yeah.
So for SCA, which is part of the umbrella of the SuiteVets program, we've got Santa Monica, Austin, Denver, Burlington, Mass, which is a suburb of Boston, and we've got some other hubs that are coming down the pipe as we grow. Now, when the offices open back up fully, they're going to be in the, we're all going to be back in the offices. But there are some remote training and remote programs that are in the pipeline as well. So right now, currently, we're all remote because officially all Oracle offices are closed, but they will reopen soon.
Yep. And I know you guys are both in Austin. Tori, who you guys can't see, but she is producing on the back end here. Tori and myself are actually based out of Santa Monica. So two of those hubs that George just named and very fun areas. All right, a couple more shout outs coming in from Ebony, fellow veteran at NetSuite in Denver. And I'm so grateful for both Ranger and George as they supported me throughout my time before I was hired and while in the SCA. That is so lovely to hear. I love that. Anything Thanks, you guys want to shout out to Ebony?
Shout out to Ebony, our Air Force sister, and also from the south side of Chicago. So, hey.
Love it.
Very nice. I hope you're doing well.
I can see another comment is coming in here, likely from my friend Tom Wing in Utah. who tunes into a lot of these and says, glad to see you're doing these live events, Ken Deasy, which is my nickname. Although your pointing skills are amazing, your personality shines when you get to interact with great people. Keep up the great work. And again, happy Veterans Day. Thank you. Tom, it's so nice to hear from you. Thank you for always tuning in and supporting us. And with that, that is, I think they're probably still coming through, but we are already a little bit over our time with Ranger and George now. Any last words you'd like to give our audience before we sign off here, Ranger and George?
If you need anything, go to oracle.com/careers. I'm on LinkedIn. Be happy to connect you with the right person. But use all the resources you have available to you as you transition out and once you transition out. Vets and Tech, Institute of IVMF, and Onward to Opportunity, USO Pathfinder, like the list goes on. The Microsoft Software Systems Academy, that we plug people to be SCAs from. So please, use those resources.
Absolutely. And again, we tagged Ranger and George in. If you're watching on LinkedIn, we've tagged them in the description of this live, so you can go ahead and add them. Ranger, anything you'd want to say before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I agree with George. Use your resources, and the number one resource I would say is your fellow veterans. So, I mean, whether it's SuiteVets or NetSuite, Oracle, or somewhere else, reach out to veterans, and you're going to have the best luck, getting help through them. And other than that, I'll just say happy Veterans Day, and thanks to all the veterans out there, and best of luck to you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, George and Ranger, for joining us. This has been so informative and so lovely, and it's great seeing all the shout outs and the people you two have even individually touched. So appreciate that. And again, on behalf of everybody at NetSuite and all of our viewers tuning in, happy Veterans Day to you both, and thank you for your service.
Happy birthday, Marines.
Yeah, happy birthday, Marines, as well. And for all of you that are tuning in, again, I know George talked about this. The link is in the description of this live. You can click that link to learn more. And then it's also on this page right now. You can learn more about veteran initiatives at Oracle and NetSuite by clicking this link on your screen, or by copying this link on your screen right now, or clicking the link in the caption to learn more. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to George and Ranger by adding them on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Happy Veterans Day.